Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday evening Forex breakdown. My name is Gail Mercer, and I'm going to be your hostess today. I would like you to take just a moment to read over the Nadex risk disclaimer. Basically, anytime you're trading, even if you're trading binary options, there is risk involved. You should be aware of that, and you should never be trading with money that you cannot afford to lose. Good evening. Great. Thank you, KM, for letting me know. I appreciate that. Now, for those of you that do not know me, again, my name is Gail Mercer, and I am the founder of Traders Help Desk. I have been trading for over 15 years. I actually started out with Forex, and it is my first passion. Number one, it moves 23 hours a day, so I can pretty much trade it anytime I want to, but also I just love the Forex market. I do have several books on Amazon related to trading Nadex binary options as well as candlesticks and volume analysis. I have been a speaker at the Wyckoff Volume Conference, the Traders Expo, and TradeStation user groups as well. Now, what I'd like to do is go ahead and start looking at some of the charts. Let's go and first look at Forex Factory, because when you're trading Forex, you need to be aware of everything that is going on in the world, not just in your town or your country. So in this case, I use Forex Factory, and I'm primarily looking at the red market reports. This week, we do have somewhat of a light schedule. I do want to make sure everybody is aware that London now opens at 3 a.m. They have shifted their time to daylight savings time as well. Now, the Aussie will not shift until next Saturday, okay? So if you're trading the Aussie, then they will open, they will shift their time next Saturday. Now, this Monday, for the U.S. dollar-based currencies, we do have the core retail sales and retail sales at 8:30. At 10 o'clock, we have the ISM manufacturing. On the Canadian side, Monday, right at 3 o'clock, the Bank of Canada governor will speak. Now, these speeches generally, I do look to see what they are speaking about. In this case, if you just click on the folder, it will tell you. And in this case, it is the text will be released at 2:55, and then the speech is scheduled for delivery 15 minutes after. And audience questions are expected. That's the important thing to me, because when you have audience questions expected, anything could happen during that period, depending on the question and how he answers it. Just something to be aware of if you trade like the USD Canadian. You might want to close your position before that speech actually occurs, or you don't want to open it right before that one, depending on what your risk level is, okay? Can everyone hear me? I have someone saying they cannot hear, and I just want to make sure that you can. Okay, so, okay, great. I just wanted to make sure. Let's see, after that night at 8:30, we do have the Aussie building approvals, and then at 11:30, we have the RBA rate statement. And then we have on Tuesday morning at 4:30, we have the Aussie annual budget release, followed by 8:30 a.m. the core durable goods. 8:30 p.m. on the Aussie, we have retail sales. Now, the big day will be on Friday, okay, as far as market reports go, because at 8:30, we have the Canadian employment change. We have the unemployment rate for the Canadian. But the really big one is this non-farm employment change. That will be probably the biggest report of the morning on the US dollar side. Okay. And then, of course, Saturday, the Aussie does shift to daylight savings time. So Wednesday and Thursday, pretty clear days, actually, as it stands right now. Now, we're going to just start with the Aussie dollar. And you can see that I'm using the first chart over here on the left is the weekly. The middle chart is the daily, and then the 360. Now, I always start reading on my left-hand side, because if I don't see a setup between the weekly and the daily, there's no reason for me to look at the 360, okay? So in this case, you can see that the stochastics has started to turn up. Now, I believe that, it could go up here to the ATR, but what it is looking for is a resistance area. In other words, somewhere where it's going to offer resistance to push this back down, okay? Right now, everything you see on the chart is telling you the momentum is to the downside, momentum is to the downside. Now, I personally would notice that the RSI has divergence here, because price was making new lows, but the RSI was not, okay? That just means they're going to go back up and they're going to test for resistance, which they did, and the resistance held. Now, with this stochastics curling over, they could go and test the 72.45. So although this is saying this is a downward trend, what I'm looking at is right now the right time to enter? No. So this is where I'm going to look at the daily. Now remember, the downtrend here is down. The trend is down. Sorry about that. So then when I look at the daily, you see that we do have an ATR directly above price, and that is at 71.39. So if this turns into a bearish bar, I would consider it, okay? Then when you go down to the 360, you can see that it's testing this line of dots here, and that is an additional ATR. And again, currently it is a bearish bar, okay? The stochastics is overbought at the moment, and this should push this back down to 110.32. You do need to watch the 110.69 area to make sure that does not provide support. You want this to continue down to the 110.31 area, okay? Now, let's go and let's look at the euro yen. Now, on the euro yen, you can see this is retraced back to the ATR, and now it is moving down. There's no indications here that that trend is going to change. Okay, so when I look over, let me change that real quick. When I look over to the daily chart, you can see that it is testing the moving average. What I don't really like about this is that the stochastics has turned up. At the same time, we're getting this magenta dot. That tells me we should get more of a retracement. In other words, traders should be taking some profits here. That's what's going to push this back to find a resistance area, okay? And then when you look down to the 360, you can see that this is on its way back to the ATR at 124.91. The stochastics is it's not overextended, but it is trying to curl over. Okay, so it may be that this has found resistance at 124.70. Let's see, 124.73-ish. More than likely, what's going to happen is it's going to test this blue moving average right here at 124.21. that's where it's going to find support to continue to push it up. Any questions on that? Okay, if we go and look at the euro dollar, again, you see that this is pushing down. Everything on here tells me, hey, this market is going down. Okay, when I look at the daily and I see that this is so overextended, that tells me, hey, do I want to enter a short now? No, because traders are going to start taking profits here, and that's going to push it back up. And I want to wait until it pushes it back up to find a resistance area before I go into it. Now, more than likely, if it does push up, it's going to be probably around 1289 to 1325, 1330-ish. To fine tune that, if I look down to the 360, you can see there's an ATR at 1264 and another ATR at 1297. Either of these could stop price and send it back down. That's what I would wait for if I wanted to go short for the duration of this week. Let's go and look at the British pound yen. Now, the British pound yen, you do see that this is coming down at the moment. Will it find support at 143.42 or down at 140.82? That we don't know yet. If we go down to the daily chart, you can see that we did have a slightly bullish bar develop here. That could send this back up to 147.02 to test for resistance, okay? And then over on the 360, you can see that the stochastics is overextended at the moment. That, again, is going to send it up. It is probably going to test 145.67 before that market can come down. But be aware that they're going back for a fourth vote on the Brexit deal right now. So it's still causing a lot of volatility in that market. And the same thing with the British pound. They're saying that Mays is going to try another vote. 3 have failed so far. So let's see what the fourth one will do. This one, again, do you see how it just broke this line of red dots here? Remember, that's an ATR. It has got to test for some type of support to move up, okay? Where would that support come in at? Well, it could come in at 29.13. Then again, it could come in at 27.60, okay? Then, and you can also see that there was divergence here on the stochastics. That's going to send it down to test for that support. Now, does that mean that you want to go long right now? No, you don't want to go long right now because they haven't found support, okay? And that's what they need. Now, when you go down to the daily, you can see that you have a support area directly below at 29.13. You also have one by prior low at 29.58. You know, they could test either of these areas, but would you still anticipate them to test for resistance? Absolutely. Because for this to move down even further than 1.2920, they need to test to make sure there's not still buyers in the market that are willing to pay higher prices. That's why they look for those resistance points, which will probably come in at 3,200 to 3,272. Okay. Now let's go, and you can look at the 360. The 360 just tells you, okay, we've had this move down. We need to test for resistance. And, that's going to result in some traders taking profits. And that's what will cause this to go up probably to 31.32. Okay. It's going to be traders taking profits. And let's go look at what the USD Canadian is doing. I heard they just got about 6 inches of snow last night. I'm glad I live in North Carolina because we don't have snow. Not right now, anyway. Come on. See, it froze up. It must be all that snow. Okay, do you see how it just tested that ATR right now? And the stochastics is starting to turn down. This makes me think that the USD Canadian is going to go down. You can also see that double top formation here. The stochastics is already turned down. Again, this makes me think that the Canadian is going to go down. But when you look down at this 360, is now the time to enter? Absolutely not. Because right now, they need to go back up and they need to test to see if resistance has formed. It will be between 34.03 probably and 34.27. Okay. And, that's where I would look for an entry. You could do a little 2-hour binary here to the upside tomorrow morning if it has not played out already. You can also see that you also had divergence on the stochastic, on the RSI. You also have the magenta peak, which has already played out because it's already went back down through this ATR. So my anticipation is this will go up to either 3,400 or 3,430. Okay. But after that, it very well may come down. Okay, and that's where I would want to enter. That's going to be the bigger move, I believe. Let's go and look at the USD Swiss franc. Now, you see the USD Swiss franc, you've got this line of ATRs here, okay? And you did the bearish bar, and more than likely it should come down to about 98.51. And when it gets here, if you see that this area is going to support it, more likely than not, it's going to go through this area at 1.0093. Okay, if it acts as I would anticipate it to act. Now, on the daily, you can see that it has moved down. It was overextended. Now it's starting to move up, but this is the bar that concerns me. You have that bearish bar there. Normally, that is indicative that this market will go down. Okay, I would expect more of a retracement back to 0013 versus 99.69. That's what I would anticipate. But then when you go down to the 360, this is where you see that blue ATR below you. This is where I would anticipate it to go. And then it would break through the 99.87 area. Okay. That's what I would look at, which will push it back to the 1.0009 area. Does everybody understand that? Now, let's go and look at the Aussie, the USD JPY. And let's see what it's doing. Now, you can see here this line of ATRs has held. And from the looks of it, it's actually going to go down. When you look at the daily, it's not far off from being at the point of being overextended. You did have the magenta peak that typically will push it back to the ATR. It may have found resistance at the medium-term moving average, okay? So either 111.48 or 111 is going to provide resistance for this to potentially go down. Then when you look at the 360, you can see right now it is actually testing that ATR, which is the red dots, line of red dots. You can see it is overextended. This is where I think it will come down to 110.57 to 110.34. Okay, that is a short down to here, but then you would be going long if you're a trend trader, because the 360 is showing that more likely than not it would break through this line of congestion dots. But what if the ATR doesn't hold? You know, because this is coming from the higher time frames, okay? What if this ATR does not hold? That gives you a trend into the downtrend. Does everybody understand that? Now, somebody wants to look at the Aussie yen. So let's go look at the Aussie yen. Over on the weekly, you can see that currently that slow moving average is holding price back. In other words, it's providing resistance. And then when you look at the daily, you can see that, hey, it's really a down market at the moment. And this is confirmed over on the 360, especially with the stochastics being red. You know, the only thing that I would see on this one is if you're looking to go long, if your bias is long, wait till it comes down to the ATR. But if your bias is short, then you could potentially have an entry later tonight. Now, what I wanted to show y'all is, okay, what does a good entry actually look like? Okay. This is one of my indicators in TradingView, and it's the ATR support and resistance, okay? And typically what you want to see is like it is over here, where you have blue and red in your favor. Now, this could be blue and black, or it could be red and black, okay? But then you want a bullish bar to develop, or if it's above, like it was here, then you want to wait for that bearish bar to develop, okay? So you have here, you have the bullish bar develop. You do have the blue and the red and the black all in your favor, okay? So this one, to me, stands out because you also have a stochastics that's telling you, hey, this market will more than likely go up, okay? Here you have the blue, the red, and a black dot in your favor, which means you have basically 4 ATRs in your favor. You have a bearish bar develop, okay, and you have hidden divergence on the stochastics, okay? So that's what leads into this big down move, okay? Now, what do these ATRs actually stand for? Well, the blue is from the 360-minute chart, but the red is the daily, and then the black is the weekly. So you know when all of these line up together, then you have a trade that is actually supported on your higher time frame. Okay? Now, in this case, to me, this would be a 2-hour binary between the red above, the blue is below. Why? Because what I would anticipate on this one is that, okay, price moves up test for support. Price moves up, it's going to test for support. This ATR is your potential entry point. Now, from here to here, there is a potential to make money because this is a 360-minute chart. But for this move, it's a small move, I'm using a 2-hour binary. But if it comes back to here and it tests and there is support, then the next move will likely be to this red dot. Now, this is a bigger move. This is where I'm using a touch bracket. It's the THD ATR support and resistance indicator. It's available with the TradingView subscription, KM. Now, why would I choose the touch bracket for that? Because there's more room for it to move, okay? That's the reason I would do it. It's sort of like this one right here. You get a 2-hour here, but then you get a touch bracket here. Does everybody understand that? Now, could you also do a call spread? Sure. But to me, the bigger one is the touch bracket. Does everyone understand that now? Not right now. It would have to come back to the ATR and test for support before you do the touch brackets. And usually, you know, I don't do touch brackets until maybe Monday afternoon going into Tuesday. And, you know, again, here, okay, you're at the ATR, you're expecting it to test for support, which is going to push it back to here, right? So to me, this is a 2-hour. But if this holds, which is what I'm saying about over here, then I'm doing a touch bracket to capture the bigger move. It just puts it in one easy chart to read. Now, does it make it better if the stochastics is going in your favor? Sure, it does. You know, if I get the magenta dot, it's just additional confirmation that this is going to be a stronger move. That's all. Any questions? And I mean, we have so many different. There are times when I get a really big move, like I was talking about over here. If this move occurs, hey, I'll do a touch bracket. I'll do 2 hours. I'll do call spreads. Money's money. It's like seeing a $20 bill laying on the ground. I ain't walking by it. I'm going to pick it up. The only difference to me is the binaries would be, you know, like picking up a $20 bill on the ground. But to me, that touch bracket is just like picking up $100 bills. Just because it has more room to move. It moves just like the underlying does. Okay? Any questions? Somebody wanted me to look at the Aussie New Zealand. Oh, let me see if I can pull that up because I don't normally even look at that one. Let's see. Right now, it looks like it's moving sideways. See how this double top formed here? But you also had a double bottom here. If it goes back and tests this, then it may come down. But I have a feeling it might actually go up. And I would be looking for it to go to 1.0625. I would like to see it test this ATR and actually see buyers come in. That's what I would like to see personally. Does TradingView have positive indicators that you use? What do you mean by positive indicators? I put my indicators into it. Are you talking about other indicators, Jesus? I don't use other indicators, but I mean, they have a lot of built-in indicators. And they have a lot of indicators that other people. Thank you, Mike. Well, I think they are, but you know, I'm prejudiced anyway. They do have a lot of indicators out there for TradingView. A lot of them are free, but you have to invest the time to design a trading plan for them. So it's up to you which ones you use. Any other questions? Can I set up Nadex to reflect this type of chart, or would it be better to use TradingView? TradingView. Hands down, TradingView would be your better choice. I mean, this is the actual instrument. Is there a video on using TradingView? I do have some, but I'm gonna tell y'all something. TradingView is awesome. I mean, absolutely awesome, because it has freed my time up so dramatically, because I've used multi-charts, TradeStation, NinjaTrader, eSignal. I've used them all out there, okay? And they all say that they have an iPad version, but TradingView actually has one that works, because I have it loaded on my iPad. And Mike, you'll love this. We have, you know, really warm weather down here. We're talking yesterday, we were almost up at 80 degrees, okay? And I'll tell you right now, I am outside, and if I have to check my trade, I just have my iPad, bring up TradingView and look at the chart and go back to what I was doing, because I do a lot of gardening now, and TradingView is phenomenal. I mean, phenomenal. I can check it on my phone. I can manage my trade on my phone, on my iPad. I do not have to be sitting at my computer anymore. And it's really actually pretty simple to use. I mean, there's no way I could even make a 5-minute video on this. It's so easy. You just pull up a new chart, and like my indicators, if you subscribe, you get the same charts that I'm using. I just send you a link. Well, number one, if you're new to trading Nadex, stay in demo mode, okay, until you figure out which indicators you're going to use. You know, if you're trying to use, you know, just standard indicators, well, you're going to have to make a trading plan for that. It's going to take time. You know, it wouldn't be unusual if you're a brand new trader. and you're trying to learn indicators and trading, and you're doing it off of standard, just free indicators in the platform, you know, I would say expect 6 months to a year before you ever go live. You're going to have to invest a lot of time in it. You know, as easy as we make this look, remember, we have been doing it for years. You know, I spent 4 years just going through indicators. And then I got frustrated and threw them all off. But I mean, that's typical behavior for traders. You know, I wouldn't be in a live account if I was not consistently with at least a 3-year track period making money in Nadex demo. And even then, I mean, you know, open up the demo, open up the live, check. Let's say that you're trading a deep in the money strategy. I know a lot of people trade those, okay? And you're always getting it for, you know, you're paying $80 to make 20. Well, open up your live account to make sure you can do that in live as well. Because in demo, it's one market maker, okay? In live, it's a lot of market makers in there. You might not be able to get it for 80. It might be 85. It might be 90. But comparing the two side by side, you would know that, okay? It's a lot of leg work is what I call it. Just in comparisons and designing a trading plan, you know, it's intense sometimes. And sometimes you just have to learn, hey, you're going to lose money some months. And then some months you are going to make money, okay? This session is actually specifically for Forex, James. Okay, before I end the session tonight, I would like to give everybody my website. It is www.tradershelpdesk.com. You can always email me at gm@tradershelpdesk.com. I will be more than happy to respond to your emails. Any other questions? I do appreciate you joining me tonight. I do think that Nadex offers a lot of great products. I like that, KM.